Stolarz signs his extension, and the terms of the deal has Leafs Nation buzzing. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. What's happening, Dave? How are we feeling on a Monday?
Man, whirlwind weekend. What a weekend.
Just a big sports weekend, a massive sports weekend, right? Like you had the Ryder Cup going and just absolute insanity Sunday at the Ryder Cup, you know, whether it was chirps, fighting, you know, the U.S. making a big comeback, but ultimately failing. So that was unbelievable. You had the Blue Jays win the division, take the top seed in the American League. Crazy day of NFL football. You had a tie in the Sunday Nighter with your Dallas Cowboys. Like, I can't stand that a game like that, one that was so exciting in the second half, in the fourth quarter, late, and even in the overtime, to end in a tie is kind of disgusting. Like, it almost makes me feel good about the shootout in hockey, because at least it gets settled, right? Like, at least it gets settled, and no one's going home in a tie, right?
Yeah, especially on, like, field goals.
Yeah, like it's just so anticlimactic. Like I wish Jordan Love ran out of time there and didn't leave that 1 second on the clock. And at least, your Cowboys would have won. Yep. It would have been fun controversy to talk about. Oh, how could he make such a boneheaded play? Now, you know, they kicked the field goal and it's a tie game. It's still brutal that they tied your Cowboys, no offense. Yeah. But just totally anticlimactic. But to relate it back to hockey, it did legitimately make me think, I'm kind of down with the shootout because someone's going home a winner, someone's going home a loser. It's pro sports. Ties are for losers. So if you tie, it's basically like losing because you didn't win. That's all it is.
It's like I always remember, like, think of like what's it like to have a tie in hockey? Like you're remembering back, then watching this game, like, yeah, I remember. Don't care for it.
Yeah, because that was when they came back from the lockout in 2005, right? That's when they brought the shootout in?
Yeah. 2005, 2006 was the first year of that.
Yeah, so prior to that, there was the pity point, singular point, two teams end with 1 point or whatever if you get the tie, and it just ends in like a 3-3 tie. Now at least there's a shootout and, you know, there's a finality to the game. We didn't have to get that over the weekend, obviously. The Montreal Canadiens defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-2 at home at Scotiabank Arena. Bit of a ragtag bunch that the Maple Leafs decided to put out there on the ice Saturday night. Not the group I was expecting to see based on the practice lines on Friday. We'll get to that in a moment, but we got to start with the big news in Leafs Nation, and that's that Anthony Stolarz has signed his extension. That's right. There was a deadline in place that Stolarz was not willing to negotiate into the season, said if he was going to sign an extension, he wanted it to be done before the end of training camp, before puck drops on October 8th against the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, they got it done with lots of time to spare because Sunday night, ink probably still drying on the contract. It's done, signed, sealed, delivered. Anthony Stolarz stays in Toronto. It's a 4-year extension worth $3.75 million annually, under the $4 million mark. I thought this was a fantastic contract for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, to get this deal under $4 million in cap hit, I mean, Tree Living did an amazing job here.
Yeah, I was concerned when the whole thing that was being discussed was like they're gonna give him term. I'm okay. They're gonna give him term, then the money has to make sense. I see the deal. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes good sense.
Yeah.
Like for Stolarz, he gets kind of that long-term security that he really has never had in his career. And the Leafs are like, okay, well, if we're going to give you term, we need to keep that cap hit down. Like, this is literally the Tavares deal once again.
Yeah, except Tavares had like $100 million in the bank. Stolarz didn't have that. So it's like he probably could have used a couple extra $100,000 a year, but he's happy with the number. The Leafs are happy with the number. It seemed like it's like a team-friendly cap hit in terms of AAV, but player-friendly term. Like seemed to be most important to Stolarz. So they kind of worked together and they came up with a compromise. And 4 years, $375, $15 million in total is the deal that keeps Anthony Stolarz around. It's about 3.6% of the cap, which, funny enough, is actually the exact same amount as Joseph Woll. So he's making a touch more than Joseph will be making over the next 3 years. But in terms of percentage of cap, it's virtually the exact same, which I found very interesting. And maybe they use that as the comp, where they're like, hey, this is what Joe's making, right? You guys are 1A, 1B. You guys are a tandem. We'll just match it. Match the, basically give you the same cap hit percentage.
Yeah, and I was just looking to see what his career earnings were. $9.969 million. So
yeah, it's a little less than what
Tavares
made. He took the haircut.
Yeah.
He wants his haircut. He's still making more than what Stolarz is making.
Yeah, exactly. I just think, that's probably what makes the most sense in terms of figuring out what was going to be the right deal, because the Leafs are probably saying to themselves, we'd like to keep both goalies around.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that the tandem sticks around. And if you're the Leafs, you're telling Stolarz, Joe's making this much of the cap. If we can get you around this number, it kind of sets the precedent. You guys are kind of both going to be sharing this crease for the next little bit, and that's what we're going to get.
Yeah. So Stolarz sticking around for 4 more years. He's coming off a career season with the Maple Leafs. Best year of his career, you could argue. It was a career high 34 starts for Toronto, an additional 7 starts in the playoffs. He had a 214 goals against with a 926 save percentage in the regular season, a 219 goals against average in the 7 playoff games prior to injury. So he looked every bit as, the starter that the Maple Leafs want him to be. And, now you're paying your starter or 1A, 1B, whatever he turns out to be, less than $4 million. Combined, you've got your goaltending, you got your tandem signed for the next 3 years at $7.42 million. That's good business. That's really good business from Brad Treliving to have the goaltending position, which, let's be honest, Dave, for a long time has been very much in flux here in Toronto. If Anthony Stolarz can continue to do what he did last season and build off that, same with Joseph Woll. That's the one thing I will say. And I talked about this before. Anthony Stolarz has never been a starting goaltender in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Like 34 starts last year was a career high. He had never played in 30 NHL games prior to last season. So there is a little bit of a reason for the Maple Leafs to be hesitant to give him that big deal, to give him that $5 million contract with term. There was reason to be a little hesitant, but at 375, it's totally worth taking that bet. Because even if he, loses out the job and he takes a little bit of a dip from last year and he's more of a, 245 or 250 goals against, and, maybe instead of a 926 save percentage, he's like a 910, that's still very much worth it. Very much worth it for the Maple Leafs at that point. So I thought it was a good deal on both sides. I think it'll work out very well. And with Joseph Woll also not around right now, like he is the guy. He's the guy, right? And I wonder if that had something to do with him getting signed and the Maple Leafs wanting to get him signed right away, where it's like, okay, this is a little bit of a distraction. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I guess I'm not there, but it's like, okay, there's no Joseph Woll right now. You're the guy. Let's get you locked up. Let's get you locked in, and we can go into the season. You're the 1A. You've got the long-term deal. let's get the season started on the right foot. And it seems like they're able to come to an agreement that made both sides happy and made the fan base pretty stoked.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? You coming together on a deal that kind of satisfies both sides. Haven't really seen as many of these in Toronto, and that's what makes. If you want to know why people are getting excited about these sort of deals, they've only happened the last couple of years, because every other contract has kind of felt like, a chore to get done. And so, if you're a Leafs fan, enjoy having a deal like this done, because it's been a challenge to get these sort of deals done.
Yep, but kudos to Brad Treliving, got this one done. It's been a good year of good summer for Brad Treliving. Good offseason, got Matthew Nyes to a long-term deal under $8 million. That looked like a good signing. Obviously we talk about John Tavares taking a bit of a haircut, what's he making, 4.38, I think, for the next 4 years. So that was, a number that surprised a lot of people to come in that low. And now to get Stolarz at under $4 million coming off the year he did, looking as dominant as he did in the postseason. I mean, that's good business, real good business out of Brad Treliving. And they've got a lot of this core now locked up long term. Now it's all about adding the pieces around it to build them into that contender. And they might be able to contend sooner rather than later. There was an update on Sasha Barkov's injury. We'll tell you about that in a little bit and how that impacts the Maple Leafs this season and the Atlantic Division title odds on FanDuel, how those have shifted as well. But there's other big news too in the crease. It's not just all about Anthony Stolarz. He has a pal who's now joined him in Toronto. It's an old friend of ours, and we'll tell you who that is next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or what they're even worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments, and we don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. If you're somebody that wants to maximize on your investments, increase your saving rate, or even review things with your partner, that's where Monarch can really help keep your financial health in the right shape. It can provide you week-to-week and long-term goals. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes of the Locked On Leafs podcast, which are free and available wherever you get a podcast. You can also find us on YouTube as well. Get your daily dose of Maple Leafs news and analysis each and every day here with us on the Locked On Leafs podcast. So doubling down on crease news this weekend, it actually came, I think Friday we got the news, but it was after we had recorded. But I'm pretty sure we manifested this. Like, we had this discussion months ago, maybe about a month ago, prior to preseason, prior to training camp, how the Maple Leafs felt like they were missing a veteran goaltender in the ilk of like what Matt Murray served as last year, kind of that veteran goaltender, that third goalie who could come up if an injury occurred, or Martin Jones prior to him. The Leafs did not have one of those guys. And I mean, Dennis Hildeby maybe could serve as that role. He's looked pretty good so far through preseason, but I think they want to develop him in the American League, not force him into some games or have him sit on the bench and miss out on some development. So they're giving an opportunity to an old pal, James Reimer, Optimus Rhyme back in Toronto on a PTO. So it's not set in stone quite yet. It's a PTO, but he's here. He's in camp. He's back at practice. He was not wearing number 34. But James Reimer back in Toronto. I mean, he was, I believe, the number one target when we talked about the Leafs needing to add like a veteran third goalie as a PTO candidate at that. We talked about this prior to training camp, and here we are midway through camp, and they've finally done it. They've brought back James Reimer. What'd you make of the news there?
Well, as you can tell, I'm wearing my James Reimer hat that I got autographed like 10, almost 10, 12 years ago.
I forgot that was like James Reimer's merch, to be honest with you.
I think it was literally they just released it at that autograph center that I had gone to when I was like not even thinking about a career in sports media. And then like we were discussing all this, and like I was just going through some old stuff in my office, and it's like this, like the hockey guys were sending signs to us. Like, look at what I find.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Are the Leafs good or just lucky? I'm curious. What, did you read it? Did you read that story?
I read this was back not long after the Leafs had won that playoff round or got into the playoffs, sorry, in 2013.
Well, we know how it ended, but yeah.
But it was talking about how essentially the Leafs were one of the worst.
It was like a PDO.
Yeah.
Like back when PDO was a metric that was used. Yeah.
Yeah, so this, and I think it was it just talked about all that, David Clarkson, all that lovely stuff that came right after that first round series against Boston. So yeah, it was just the nostalgia of all of it too, because everyone's like, oh yeah, so when's Austin Matthews giving up number 34? It's like there's another number the guy does use, and it's 47. But yeah. It just felt like as soon as Wall was that leave of absence happened, I was waiting for that news. It just felt like it was inevitable they were going to be signing a goalie to a PTO, and Reimer made the most sense.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, does this PTO signing, like bringing him into camp, does it say anything to you about where Joseph Woll is at and maybe where it's a longer absence than we initially thought, perhaps?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to, because if they didn't think it was anything long-term, they would just said, okay, we'll just roll with the 4 goalies that we have in camp, and then when Woll's coming back. But there was a conversation had on Kipper and Bourne, and it's like, when a goalie misses training camp, it takes time for them to ramp things back up. Look at what happened to Jeremy Swayman last year.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a training camp. He essentially signed his deal, and the regular season was like around the corner.
Yeah.
I think they want to avoid a situation where if this is something that's going to keep him out close to the season, then they're not saying, okay, we got a few back-to-backs, so we're going to need you ready to go. I think they want to make sure that Joseph Woll is comfortable when he does eventually come back. So it will be a little more concerning. Well, I don't even know if it'd be concerning if they sign it, because the Leafs do need a third goalie. Like, you don't want Dennis Hill to be your, emergency guy to call up. You want him in the AHL playing.
Yeah.
You don't like that.
You don't want him on the bench in a ball cap.
No.
Right?
And you don't want him, and actually, you don't even want him sitting as your backup, probably, if he's not really going to play that much. He needs to play games. So we talked about this when we were looking at like PTO or like third goalie options. James Reimer actually has not been as bad. Hey, people are trying to make it seem as if James Reimer is like a charity case bring back. No,
he's been solid. Like,
he was actually one of the few Sabres goalies to have an above 900 save percentage, and like it's not like he played 5 games with the
team. since Ryan Miller, you mean? Probably.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Like I'm just trying to find how many games. He played 22 games. Mm-hmm. He had a 10-8-2 record. So even a 500 record, a 290 goals against, and a 901 save percentage, playing for the Buffalo Sabres.
There you go. The
Leafs have had way worse third goalie emergency options. a la Michael Hutchinson.
Yeah. That's perfect example. Exactly.
Like, the Leafs have had you talked about pretty brutal goaltending. Leafs have had. Remember,
Casimir Kaskasuo had to come up and play a game randomly one time. No, the Leafs have been there, man, where they have not had a great third goalie option. But now they do. Now they got the option. And that's what's the, I guess, good thing about the PTO is it's an option. You're not set in stone. If Reimer comes in and he stinks, all right, well, we gave it a go, but maybe you are over the hill. Like he is, almost 40 years old. He's 37, 38 years old. Like he's up there. So his career is coming to an end, and he's going to get an opportunity to go back to where it all began. Many, many years ago, 15 years ago, he made his debut for the Toronto Maple Leafs, spent 6 years here in Toronto, and he was pretty solid. When he was with the Leafs, he a .914 save percentage throughout those 6 years, 11 shutouts as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he, prior to, it's funny because we always talk about how the Maple Leafs haven't drafted and developed a good goalie, right? They haven't drafted and developed anyone. And, Joseph Woll might be the first guy since Felix Potvin. Like, that's the name that always gets thrown out there. Reimer was drafted and developed by Toronto, and he's gone on to play over 500 games in the NHL. He just never really took on that number one job in Toronto, and then they moved on from him. They sent him to San Jose. He went to Florida, Carolina, and he's kind of been a suitcase a little bit, traveling suitcase since then. But it comes back to Toronto, back to where it all began. And, whether it's most likely, obviously, I think it's going to end up being, if he signs in Toronto, more so will be a Marlies guy. But it's even something that you could keep him around next year if it goes well. Keep him around next year as that third goalie, right? That emergency goaltender that you're going to be able to have on your roster. If he's open to that, obviously. But
he can still make some money playing in the NHL, or being around a team. The one thing he hasn't done is win a cup, right? I don't know if his name would get on the cup, but to be around as a part of it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, would be nice. I think it's cool. And obviously, put a little smile on my face when I saw that. I thought we manifested it and we talked about it about a month ago, and here it is. So James Reimer, he's been at practice. He spoke to the media. He's being as goofy, fun,
That Matthews comment had me howling a bit there.
Well, one where he and Matthews are going to duke it out at center ice for 34. Pretty good comment. Yeah, pretty good. I would love if they actually went to go do that and then just turn to the media and we're like, oh, just kidding, guys. That kind of would be funny if they did something like that. But so Reimer's back in Toronto for the time being. We'll see how long it'll be. We'll see if he'll end up having a role. Will he play games with the Leafs this year? All remains to be seen. But he's back in Toronto. He's at training camp on a PTO, and it's fun. It is definitely fun. All right, on the other side, let's recap Saturday night's loss to the Montreal Canadiens and discuss with Alex Barkov's long-term injury, does it give the Maple Leafs a better shot to reclaim their division championship? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. You can build parlays, you can do some player props, you can even do some live bets, or you can do some futures. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, on the Locked On Leafs podcast. Subscribe to us wherever you get a podcast and up on YouTube. So the Maple Leafs now 2-2 in preseason action. They fall to the Montreal Canadiens on home ice. 4-2 was the final, and they don't play again until Thursday. I just assumed that there'd be another Tuesday game or something, but I was looking at the schedule to see next time they play. Off till Thursday night, and then they're taking on Detroit.
Actually, I'll be at the game Thursday night, so.
Oh, nice. So
it's a
that
family tradition. Always go to the last home preseason game because you get to see the full lineup. And
so it's going to overtime, you're saying?
Actually, probably, because I think in the last 3 or 4 it has. So if you're going to the game, don't be prepared to go home early.
Well, at least there's going to be a winner and a loser, unlike in the NFL where games can just end in a tie. Still so silly. Still silly. Any takeaways from Saturday night's loss to Montreal? Not a fun game, I guess. It was a weird game because it was just like a mismatch of players. Like I wasn't expecting the lineup that was deployed. I thought we were going to see what you would consider like opening night lineup. Like I thought we were going to see Austin Matthews. Thought we might see Max Domi. I thought possibly we could see the full blue line out there. But no, it was just like a real mismatch of guys. You know, Nyes was with Tavares and Nylander. You had a bunch of random dudes out there.
Well, you had Domi centering the top line for him, Nyes, and Robertson, which why? It didn't really make a lot of sense. But the energy, that game, I was ready to fall asleep. Just the energy just wasn't there. Montreal got a lot of power plays. They scored a lot on the power play. So if you're the Leafs, you may want to look at the penalty killing and seeing what's going on there.
And half of their starters weren't there.
You
can't even.
No, they had William Nylander playing on the penalty kill, so that probably is not a recipe for success in that regard either. I will give it that.
Yeah,
I think I liked what I saw from the Nick Waugh, Dakota Joshua, kind of that duo.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be heavy.
Yeah,
you got the Lawton Lawrence is gonna be kind of like the energy line. And I think the Waugh and if whoever they put on as the third guy on that line, just it's gonna be go in and be a pain in the rear. Just go and hit.
Michelli who was playing there the other night.
Yeah,
I think it was Michelli, right?
Yeah, it was Michelli on that line.
Which, I don't think of Michelli as a defensively responsible guy. I usually think of him as a playmaker. But if you have a guy like Joshua, you have a guy like Nick Waugh, he does have a motor. I'll give him that. The few games that we've seen here so far in the preseason, Michelli's got a motor and he sticks with plays. But, if they want to get a little bit of offense from the bottom six, he is someone who can help provide that, right? He can get the puck out in front for Dakota Joshua to kind of redirect it in or get it out to Nick Waugh. So if he doesn't end up on the top line, if Domi wins that job, Michelli could possibly be a guy you could see there on the third line. And obviously that was a situation where the coach just wanted to get a look at what it looks like and how they play together.
Yeah, I think that was just kind of looking to see if Michelli were to play lower in the lineup, how does he fit in that kind of role?
Yeah. And sometimes that's what the preseason games are all about. We'll try different combinations. We'll see how it works. And if things go well, then beautiful. Then we can go to that at some point through the season. If things go horribly, all right, well, we know not to go there at some point in the season. So that's really, I guess, what you can glean from a game like that more so. I will say, a notable play that I liked. I think it was on the Tavares goal. Nylander's forecheck on Jack Guy to get the puck to force the turnover. If you can do that more often, be a forechecker, create turnovers in the offensive zone. That could help. That could definitely help and allow that line to score some more goals, create turnovers, create some more pressure in the offensive zone. So if Nylander's going to bring that to his game, add forechecker to his bio. That's good. That's good.
I'll
Dave.
take that. I'm sure Craig Berube will take that. He's like, it only took me hounding you all last season to be doing more of that.
Well, now he's got a YouTube out there, right? He's got a YouTube page now. So maybe he's just listening to all us YouTubers yell and scream about his lack of forecheck over the years. And he's like, oh, y'all want me to forecheck? Oh, okay, sure. Perhaps that could be it. Maybe he was listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast and is taking notes. Perhaps that is the case, Dave.
Hey, anything we can do for the cause.
That's right. So the Barkov news came out Friday afternoon as well. We discussed it briefly in the morning. We didn't know how long he was going to be out. That news is now official. He underwent ACL surgery, and he's going to be out for 7 to 9 months, which is a weird timeline for Barkov because 7 months takes you to April. 9 months takes you to June. And keep in mind that this year they decided to implement the playoff roster cap situation. So if he's good to go, if he's good to come back and in April, that 7-month timeline, like they can't use that money. They have to keep that money available for him, which is different than previous years, right? They can't Kucherov him where they have him sit out and then all of a sudden, oh, he's good to go. And well, they've took that $10 million cap hit and they've went and they've got a player to replace him. And now all of a sudden you have all these guys playing for this team and playing $10 million over the cap in the playoffs. Won't be able to do that. So that 7 to 9 month timeline is very, very interesting.
The best one I saw somebody, I think it was again, because it was happening as Kipper and Bourne was talking. And it was like, oh, now they can go get. Be nice to see Sidney Crosby scoring goals from the playoffs. I'm like, that's a funny line, but like, no, not gonna happen because it's either he's
if he's out for the season, it could.
No,
if he's out for the season, they can't replace it.
You can go out and get a guy to replace, but then don't think, oh, he's coming back. That means you're scrapping that 10.5 million for the rest of the year. Like you're saying to him, all right, go and enjoy a year of rehab. We'll see you back in September next year. Yeah.
So tough though. Like he's the captain, he's the heart and soul, he's the best two-way player in the game. And
that was a tough thing.
Big loss, man. It's a
like when you brought it up, I watched the video and I'm like,
oh, you knew right away. Yeah, you knew right away. I'm like, oh, that's a knee. That's a knee issue, and that's going to be some significant time. And it could be season ending, right? And if that's the case, like, so no Barkov this year for the Florida Panthers. Tkachuk's out until like Christmas, basically. Might not be back until the new year. Dude, like the Atlantic Division is now up for grabs. Like you can't just pencil in Florida as your, not even the Atlantic Division, but like the Eastern Conference is kind of now up for grabs after they've won it 3 years in a row. Like those are two massive injuries. And this opens up an opportunity for a team like Toronto to take advantage, right? Like no Barkov, no Tkachuk. You got to make sure that you take advantage of a weakened Panthers team because they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to get points. And, at least until Tkachuk gets back, you got to make sure that you create as much of a buffer early as possible. And the Maple Leafs have a lot of home games to start the year too. So utilize those home games, get off to a great start, build a nice cushion, and separate yourself from Florida real early so that, that they can't be a threat. And maybe that gives Toronto a good chance to repeat as division champs again.
Yeah, and like I know some people are going to say, well, Florida, just got into the playoffs last year. Fair, like once the playoffs start, they become a different team, but they still had Barkov, right?
Right. And they had Tkachuk for most of the year, right? They had Ekblad for most of the year. Like they were very much in the mix for the division. And then Tkachuk got injured. He missed the last, 20-something games.
Yeah.
Ekblad got suspended for the last 20 games. Marchand, when he got traded there, he missed a good amount of time. So they weren't really trying to win games.
No.
They were just trying to get in, and they did. And they'll probably try and do the same this year, I would imagine. Do you think that they're still a lock to make the playoffs with these injuries? Or, is this a situation that really could hurt their odds of even making the playoffs?
Well, let me just quickly look at their depth chart because
Down
that's
the middle. You got Bennett, you got Lundell, you got Rodriguez, and then I can't remember who the fourth
Luke Cunnin would be
Luke Cunnin
likely be the fourth line guy.
Yeah, and if you want to pull it up, if you got it there, just to see what that looks like, their depth chart. It doesn't look great. Like the depth, this team has always been known for their depth. It doesn't look that deep anymore when you take those two out.
I wonder if they consider Carter Verhaeghe at center because I know he's played there at times.
Then what, you're going to put E2 Luosterainen on your top line?
It's easier to find a winger than to find a center. It's kind of thought.
Yeah, but Lundell's okay. I think
Lundell is an amazing third line center.
Right.
But the moment you make him a second line center, he probably will be good enough, but it's not going to be Barkov.
No,
I mean Sam Bennett. That's the thing. No. Lundell's a good player. It's just he's a really good player when he's not asked to play second line responsibilities. When he's playing third line responsibilities like he was in the playoffs, that's a tough third line to go up against.
I'm just you whiteboard this against the Maple Leafs, right? Bennett, Matthews. Who you taking?
Matthews.
Right. Lundell, Tavares. Who you taking?
Still taking Tavares.
Rodriguez, Nicola Waugh. Who you taking?
I'll take Waugh.
It's kind of an even. I will be on that one. Maybe
offensively, Rodriguez is better. Defensively, I give Waugh a little bit.
Correct. Yeah. But it's kind of even. Maybe like a 55-6, 55.
That's the one maybe matchup they would try to be able to win.
But then Cunnin and Lawton runs away with it.
Yeah.
Right. So down the middle, Toronto, far better down the middle than the Florida Panthers without Barkov and without, obviously, Matt Tkachuk for the first little bit. Obviously, hurts and depletes the winger depth as well. So, it's not just Toronto. The Lightning are going to have a much better opportunity to have a good bounce back season. Maybe there's a chance for one of Montreal or Ottawa to, jump into one of those top three spots. Maybe Detroit finally breaks out. Maybe Boston has a bounce back season. Maybe Buffalo finally figures it out. Unlikely, but maybe. It definitely shifts power in the Atlantic, in the East, and in the NHL. I think they're the gold standard. And if you don't have Barkov, that team's not nearly as good as they are with him. And I know it's a very simple statement to make, but it truly, you take Barkov out of that lineup, and it's they go from the best lineup to they're probably a playoff team, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to do damage without that guy.
Funny thing is, one person says, well, there's how you get Matthew Tkachuk reactivated without going over the cap. I'm like, sure, I'm guessing that's exactly the strategy they had in mind to get Matthew Tkachuk. Let's just lose our best player.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I know everyone's saying, oh, Florida, next man up. Look, last year they lost Ekblad. Oh, last year they lost Tkachuk, and they just kind of filled those guys in, next man up. And I'm like, well, they lost Tkachuk, but they also ended up getting Marchand. They lost Ekblad, but they also did get Seth Jones. And they lost Barkov. Well, there's no guy coming in, or no guy yet that's coming in externally that's going to replace him. There's no one internally either. So Barkov is a far different guy to lose than Ekblad and Tkachuk. So it's going to be interesting, but I think this definitely gives the Maple Leafs a better chance to repeat as champions if the Panthers are going to be weakened like this. Currently, The Leafs have the second highest odds to win on FanDuel. They're plus 300. The Lightning with the highest odds at plus 200. The Panthers fell to plus 310 with this news. So FanDuel expects the Leafs to be better than Florida, but expects the Lightning, according to the odds, to actually win the division this year. But we'll see. We shall see. Anything else you want to touch on, or
not today, but on tomorrow's show I have something to touch on. We had more rankings come out, and I think there's another conversation we need to have about Austin Matthews and the disrespect he's getting around the league.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, tomorrow, little Tuesday rant from Dave Morassutti. The disrespect continues on Austin Matthews. So you'll want to jump back on and catch us on tomorrow's show. That'll do it for us today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you get a podcast. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. You can check out our Discord server, Locked On Leafs, and we're also on Instagram now as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.